Good evening and welcome to our KACF Giving Summit virtual series, where today we explore the comforts of Korean food and community. I'm Kyung Yoon, the president of the Korean American Community Foundation. And on this Friday evening, as we sit socially distanced, well, we're proving that even a pandemic cannot stop Koreans and our friends from setting a table and coming together virtually around our favorite topic of food. And I couldn't think of anyone more fun and comforting to have this conversation with than our wonderful friend and champion of KACF, Simon Kim, who many of you know is a renowned restaurateur and the visionary owner of Korean Steakhouse in New York City. Simon joins us from his comfort spot in his dining room at home. Hi, Simon. Oh, Simon, I think you have to unmute yourself.
Oh,
I think you have to unmute yourself. Yeah.
Oh, I'm on mute. Am I?
Yeah.
Can you not hear me?
Yeah, we hear you now. We hear you now.
Okay.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Hi, Simon.
Hi, Kyung. Thank you so much for such an awesome introduction. You're always so kind.
Well, Simon, that's a very fancy glass you're holding there. Are you mixing a drink? What are you having?
Yes, so I know we're getting together on behalf of KCF, so I wanted to bring out my fancy glass, because if it's not today, when else am I gonna use the fancy glass? So I actually got myself a little old-fashioned coat. So it's nice and sealed. I'm gonna go ahead and open this up. Because you can't start a happy hour without a drink.
Well, that's true.
Bear with me.
So I understand you're going to have this drink, but okay, thank you, because I know you also had a recipe that you were going to share with us later and all our participants.
Yes, so we have never shared our recipe with anybody before, Kyung. So I hope you keep this a secret. So for Corona, yeah.
Yes, Simon, your secret is safe with me and however many people are on this call. And this is going to be streamed on YouTube later. So, okay, yeah, but your secret's really safe with us. Yes.
Awesome. So should we actually, where's your drink, Kyung?
You know what? I have one here, and we had asked people to have a drink ready. And we would love actually to start this with a toast. And so for those of you who haven't yet, please turn on your video. It's okay. You know, we know we're all home and have to wash our hair, but let's switch to the gallery view. Let's grab a glass and let's toast. What should we toast to, Simon?
I think we should be toasting to our community's resiliency.
Love it.
All right, that's geography.
So, toast our community's resiliency. On a count of three, everyone. On a count of say kumbe. Ready? 1, 3. Everyone. Hi. It's great to see all of you. Hi.
It's too early for a drink.
Hi.
Too early.
To celebrate our community's resiliency. And thank you, Simon, and all of you. So that was fun. Now, everyone, be sure to switch back to speaker view. You know, Simon and I also wanted to know a little more about who's around this table this evening and how you're doing. What are you cooking at home? So here are 3 questions that we came up with. And I hope that you will take a minute to answer our poll of 3 multiple choice questions. Now, I promise you will not be graded, and you can pick more than one answer, and we'll be closing the poll shortly. So take a minute. As you can see, the questions are, why are you tuning in? What have you been doing more of since the pandemic? And what's your favorite Korean comfort food? And by the way, if you don't see your favorite food among the multiple choice options, feel free to type it into the chat box.
I wish I could do this.
I know. Well, let's let's hear from others, and because we will be doing a lot of our talking, but you can share with us, Simon, later what's your favorite comfort food. I think I know what it is. Great. Okay, I'm going to be stopping the poll shortly, so everyone get your answers in. Okay, here we go. So we have the overwhelming majority tuned in to hear from our Simon Kim, but we also are interested in getting new insights about Korean food. We also do want to be a part of this table, and we're hungry for community. And 14% said they're just hungry, so that's good.
Wow, everybody's cooking so much.
I know, look at that. Everyone is cooking more, and we are also ordering some takeout. I know we'll be talking about opportunities to order takeout from Code later. And so that's good to know that, you know, not everyone is wasting away, but a few are. So hopefully we can try to come up with some new recipes and things that will inspire you to cook or order. And in terms of favorite Korean comfort food, it is kimchi jjigae, the leader, followed by ramen. Oh, kimchi jjigae was 50%, ramen at 44%. I'm sorry, ramyeon. That's Korean. I'm sorry. Thank you for correcting my Korean pronunciation. I appreciate it. Ramyeon. Yes. Kimchi jjigae, ramyeon. Okay.
There you go.
And then 감사합니다. And then with a close third, tteokbokki taking the bronze medal in Korean comfort food. So
and I think I saw galbijjim and bulgogi as other answers, and I love galbijjim too.
Galbijjim is really, really good. That's true. That is very comforting. Yeah, I'm getting really hungry. We got to stop this. All right, I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop the results here, and you know and let's get started since so many people were interested in talking about food. I see, Simon, that you've got like a nice setup there. So let's talk about what you are cooking.
So believe it or not, this is our steak setup, right? It's so funny because in Western culture, a steakhouse setup is like mashed potatoes and cream of spinach. But in our culture, this is like very light and vegetable-rich setup is our steak setup. So it's interesting. And I brought some galbi from Code. And the beef is actually very special. It comes from a farm called Nyman Ranch Farm, and they don't use any antibiotics or growth hormones. So it's a very clean and awesome quality of beef that has been marinated in our chef's awesome sauce. So without further ado, I'm gonna start grilling.
Okay.
So here we have some cast iron pan that's been nice and heated well. Just put a little bit of oil just to make sure that nothing sticks. I'm using grapeseed oil.
Simon, what is that contraption on the bottom? I mean, should every home kitchen have like a grill like you? Tell us about that.
This is not it's not a Korean household without this portable thing, right? Because whether it is that you want to cook 부대찌개 or bulgogi or samgyeopsal, it just experience is not the same if you have to cook it in the kitchen and bring it out. Because I love hosting people, but I love eating too. But by having this grill on the table, I can host and eat at the same time. So I definitely, it's they sell this in any Korean supermarket. So I definitely recommend everyone get it if they don't have it yet.
Oh wow, that looks so good. Okay.
Wow.
Simon, do you ever watch these YouTube channels where what was it called, mukbang? Where people just like tune in and watch people, usually really like skinny people eating a lot. Like I feel like you might have a second career.
You mean mukbang?
Yeah, mukbang.
Mukbang, yeah, maybe. It's my first time ever cooking and being on the video at the same time. So we'll see how this goes. Let's
see. That looks awesome. Yeah. So tell us, like, we've talked about comfort food and galbijjim, but people don't typically, I mean, we know kalbi is a special treat for most of us.
Right.
So tell us what you think makes kalbi so special.
I think kalbi is that really unique dish, right? Because normally something fancy is not something comfortable, whereas kalbi kind of hits that perfect combination of both, right? Because kalbi has been very expensive in Korea, so it's more of a special occasion, whether it's your birthday, graduation, or whatnot. But amongst those kind of special occasion food, it's the least pretentious, and it kind of brings that kind of even the flavor. It's that sweet, soy saucy, that kind of flamey beef comfort. I think I couldn't think of a better food to cook with you guys.
And you were saying before that in the Western food cultures that usually like the steak is the main course and then you sort of have the vegetables on the side. But we also have sort of banchan, and I know you pay a lot of attention to that at Coast. So do you want to talk about that? Because it makes it so healthy too.
Yes. So it's really interesting because every culture has beef eating culture, right? Whether that is Brazilian, churrascaria, Argentinian, New York style, every cosmopolitan city has its own unique way of consuming beef, and they have kind of perfected it. And while one culture cannot be deemed as better than the other, I do find a Korean way of eating steak really, really fascinating, right? Because normally beef can be a very heavy experience, whereas Korean barbecue and Korean steakhouse experience, as you can see, we have like red leaf lettuce and scallion salad, which are all very rich in fiber. And fiber can be also known as prebiotics. It becomes a food for probiotics. And then you throw in like things like samjang and kimchi that's been fermented, which has very rich content of probiotics. Now what you have is, yes, you ate beef, but ultimately you actually did something positive for your biome and for your health. So I find it pretty exciting.
Yeah, and I have to say also, while I've been isolated and with my family, I've been craving a lot more Korean food. I really get it about like how you just crave the food of your childhood. And I've been thinking about like how brilliant our Korean ancestors were about like how we have kimchi and the pickling kind of traditions, because I don't want to go to the markets very often. And so I know that you also have opinions about the importance of pickling.
Right, and so I actually sent out a few recipes that we do at Coke to Tom, so you'll be all receiving it. But I think pickling and kimchi are one of the most important elements of Korean food, right? Because as long as I have delicious kimchi in the refrigerator, I'm actually kind of set, right? I can eat Italian food as long as I get to have a little bit of kimchi, that crunchy, spicy, acidic, that I'm already back in game, So I really do think that our ancestors really kind of spent their time perfecting how they can actually make something delicious, and that's really good for your body as well.
Yeah, because what you said about the probiotics, I mean, I've been reading that like kimchi is just like yogurt. I mean, when people talk about like being good for your digestion, right?
Sure, definitely. It's nowadays the probiotics are actually really well touted as immune system. So when you have a really good probiotics and flora in your stomach and your system, there's been definitely numerous studies saying that it boosts your immune system as well.
Yeah. So especially in these times when we all need a good immune system, maybe the secret is kimchi. Maybe that's how Korea flattened the curve.
Yeah, agreed.
Among other things.
And you know what's funny is before, even like 10 years ago, when our parents and grandparents would say, "Oh, it's good for you, so you should eat it, even though it's not tasty." But back then, healthy, like living healthy was not that sexy, if you will, you know? But now I feel like the entire community, entire global citizens, they're all looking for ways to make things healthier, especially during these kind of pandemics. You understand that, you know, your overall health and how you eat and how you exercise, how you kind of maintain your general good health is becoming more important than ever. And I feel like Korean cuisine can be a very good tool to maintain that.
Yes. Simon, I wish I could smell your kalbi. I mean, never mind tasting it. I feel like I can almost smell it.
Right.
Oh, thank you. Oh my goodness, that looks awesome. And as Simon said, it's a secret, but for those of you tuning in today, he is going to share his secret kalbi recipe from Coat, as well as his secret recipe for banchan and a cocktail. So you can look forward to receiving that after this presentation. You might give us a couple days, so maybe early next week. And so Simon, let's just talk. I mean, you're always, you know, such a ray of sunshine whenever I talk with you. I mean, you are really optimistic, and that I think has really served you well during these very difficult times for the restaurant industry. And I just wanted to know, you know, like, how are you doing? How are your employees doing? And how has this impacted your business?
It's been really bad, honestly. I don't think I've ever seen anything remotely close to what happened with COVID-19. We were always fully busy. We had 105 employees, and overnight, we had to let go of over 90 employees so they can collect unemployment. And we had to go from, you know, somewhat of fine dining Korean high-end steakhouse to takeout and delivery only. And it was really, really, really devastating, you know, it was really, really devastating. And, but, you know, now I think we're kind of finding our groove. I mean, I remain very optimistic, right? Because, by the way, you can order Coat on delivery on trycaviar.com. I gotta squeeze that in for him. Yeah, but now that we found our groove, and while things will never be the same, in my humble opinion, but I remain optimistic by working together with my landlord, with my vendors, with my guests, with my team. Again, collectively as a community, I'm sure we'll find a way to find our way out of this, because ultimately restaurant people are fairly resilient people. And as you know, Koreans are very, very, very resilient people. So I think I remain optimistic.
Well, that's right. So if you get that Venn diagram of, you know, restaurants and Koreans, but, you know, I'd love to just share my perspective at KACF. You know, we've been doing so much work reaching out to our nonprofit grantee partners. And in many ways, you know, they're trying to survive in the same ways, because they're small businesses, you know, we can think of it that way. But they, you know, many of the clients that they serve and the vulnerable Koreans that are at the heart of the work that we do, their home is Queens, which has emerged as the epicenter of the coronavirus in New York City. And so I've been seeing, in many ways, kind of interestingly, the same agility, the same creativity, you know, that's just kind of pivoting. For example, you know, senior centers had to close, but then, you know, a lot of the staff had to pivot and start like counseling people to fill out unemployment applications, because that was something very, very urgent, or how to apply for the CARES Act. So, you know, I feel like this has been especially challenging for, you know, for all of us, but I've been really moved and inspired by the kind of how everybody is moving into the front lines and trying to make sure that our community not only survives, but that we can think ahead to how are we going to thrive and be there when this is behind us, and it will be behind us one day.
Right. And I think during these kind of crisis is the easiest time for those people that are in need to be neglected, right? Just because everybody's kind of trying to fend their own, and rightfully so to a certain degree. But that being said, it's very important that we kind of, because we code as a restaurant, we believe we are part of community, right? When community is good, we've been busy. We're very grateful for all the things, all the love and support that we receive. And right now the community is suffering. So, we wanted to do our own part as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, so in fact, why don't you tell us a little bit about that? Because I know, your business has taken such a hit. You are trying to keep things going with the takeout and delivery business, but I was so moved to find out that in the midst of all of this, that you've been sort of, doing the same with Coat that many of our grantee partners are doing. You're caring about your staff, you're caring about your community, and also you've been committed to giving back to the community. And so can you tell us what you've been doing and what prompted you, to make those decisions?
Sure. So when we laid off our employees, we wanted to make sure they can maintain certain lifestyles. So we're helping our staff out as well as we kept 100% of our salaried employees as well, because obviously, they're loyal and dedicated people. So we thought that again, during the tough time, we should figure out a way to, share this with share the good and the bad. So that's as far as what we did with Coat Family. But second, we partner with City Harvest. City Harvest is an organization, nonprofit that really helps hungry New Yorkers get food. So what we did was we are actually donating 3% of our revenue to City Harvest. So the idea is right now, everybody is stretched thin. There's, very few people are making a lot of money now, right? I think everybody's all in a similar situation with stock market crashing, a lot of volatility and whatnot. But ultimately, I feel like when we need our money the most is when our, the people of our community need it the most as well. So we're giving 3% of our revenue. It's really tough because we're not making $1 out of our delivery system, but we're very grateful that we're paying our staff, we're paying our vendors, and we're actually paying the nonprofit help feed the hungry New Yorkers. So we've been doing that. And then second, we also partner with a nonprofit called Frontline Foods. So basically, it's an organization that basically allows the restaurant to create different food and then deliver it to the frontline doctors and nurses, so that I get to serve this delicious kalbi to the doctors and nurses that are, fighting death on behalf of our community. So we're very grateful.
Yeah, I can, I just think that really they are so much the heroes, and just the fact that you're finding it within, within yourselves and within your team and the work that you're doing to really, get out there and support our medical workers in the way that you can best, with food. It's really great. But and I think we're going to soon be opening things up and going to Q&A, because I know we have a lot of questions for you. But I just love to ask you, that as we're thinking about how can small businesses survive, how can nonprofits also, serve our community, that, they're serving our community, how can we all kind of make it through? What can each of us do? We all, don't have maybe a restaurant, but what can each of us do to help our community?
I think I can kind of use Korean food as an analogy. So in Korea, the way I learned it, it's not the taste of the food that is the most important. The most important aspect is how much effort and good intention did the person who's preparing the food put into their food. it's called 정성, right? And it has nothing to do with using fancy ingredients or whatnot. So I guess where I'm leading up to is, I think what community really needs at any given point is our intention and commitment that we want to help out the community, and we want to get out of this together. So whether it is that, it's not about dollar amount, it's not about the size of check, it's about, us making the effort, right? Because, we are very fortunate to a certain degree that we get to stay home in a safe environment, but not everyone has the similar luxury as we do. And I feel like by us contributing small or whatnot in any way possible, I think that would definitely really show our commitment to community, and also help us, our community that are in need, come out of this as unscathed as possible.
Oh,
By the way,
thank
this
you.
candy is so
Yeah.
good.
Oh, you know what? Just rub it in. This is like salt in the wound right now, watching
Sorry.
you eat the kalbi. Thank you so much. Yeah, no, we all wish we could literally be around that table with you, Simon, but we do feel that we are around this table. And so, in fact, we're gonna open this up to Q&A session, and please feel free to send your messages to Q&A. But I have some that have already come in. So most pressing of all, and this is actually a question that I've always been really curious about. There's like marinated kalbi and unmarinated kalbi, right? And someone once told me that the unmarinated kalbi is more pure, and that it's actually like the better quality meat because you can kind of hide stuff in the marinade. But so what's your take on that, Simon?
So I'll just explain how we do it in Coke. So back in the days when those myths were really kind of popping up, was when high quality beef was very difficult to find and very expensive. Whereas here in New York, high quality beef is, not as difficult and not such a rare item. So here at Code, we make sure that every beef quality is the same. So honestly, whatever floats your boat. Personally, I would like to start with non-marinated, just to taste the beef without the marinade, and then go into the marinade so that you can have a little contrasting flavors.
And so you like it with a little bit of marinade. Is that the ultimate Simon Kim verdict, little marinade?
So I eat a lot of beef, right? Can you imagine? I eat so much beef, it's not even funny. But what I came to conclusion is my favorite steak is kalbi, marinated kalbi, because there's nothing really like it. There's that soy saucy, sweet, comforting, nostalgic, and with rice and kimchi that has that kind of spicy, acidic, crunchy of kimchi. It really is like it's a heavenly dish. I'm very proud of being Korean because of kalbi.
Yeah, I have to say for me too, and there's this wonderful sort of mix when I bite into kalbi with a little bit of kimchi, it's so much the taste of Korea for me. And so I'm with you on the marinated kalbi. So we have a question from Bina, and I know not everyone on the call is necessarily New York, New Jersey based, but she's asking, what are your favorite stores to buy ingredients for Korean recipes?
It's a little far away, but I love H Mart in Ridgefield. They really have the most amount of selections, and their fish department is so awesome. Meat department is so awesome. So if you have a car, if you have a little bit of free time, personally, I love to go to church on Sunday to New Jersey, and then actually go to H Mart and then come back.
That sounds like a good ritual. Yeah. So you're saying not all H Marts are even the same. This one is. What makes that one so special, Simon?
Size matters, right? It's actually the biggest flagship. So there's H Mart and there's H Supermart. So that's a supermart. I think there's only one supermart, and you can definitely see, if you haven't been, if you go there, you will know why they call it the supermart.
Yeah, I've been there, and I actually, my kids, my older son actually just loves the Potiki, like these
Oh
and they
yeah.
actually have a machine there where they go bong, bong, and they make these. And I noticed that that is the only H Mart where I can actually get that fresh. And so I completely endorse your recommendation.
Oh, by the way,
So, yeah.
if you're like my wife, and my wife and I, we love free stuff. Honestly, I think we're Koreans. So when you go to H Mart there, they actually give you Imperfect Potiki for free.
Yes, they do.
Yes. So
Yeah.
when I take my baby Donnie and my wife, we always ask the harabaji to give us a few imperfect ones. It's such a nice, treat.
It is. Yeah, I always ask for it for my kids, but actually I eat a lot of them. So
There's actually
so
another
confession
pro
time.
tip. So when you go to H Mart Ridgefield, there's a restaurant called Soram, which is a very awesome restaurant there. I really like going there, so I recommend. And also there's a duck place called Yedang. So that's like a really nice trifecta of to stop to make.
Sounds like a very busy and fulfilling and filling Sunday for you, Simon. So that's great. Can't wait till all of these places are opened up again. Just pivoting a little bit, I want to ask a question that's come in, which actually I'm very curious about. Like, how do you clean your cast iron skillet? One of our participants are saying that with sugar, like it gets burnt on. Like, do you have any tricks on how to keep it pristine?
So if the cast iron is well seasoned, it would actually come off really, really much better. You can learn how to season cast iron really perfectly just by Googling it. And if it is actually well seasoned, all you need to do is actually use hot water to really kind of hot water and susemi, something that's very rough, to just go ahead and just rub it, just rub it. And if that does not do the trick, because it should, but if that does not do the trick, I can do something like putting it on top of the stove and then boiling it. Let the water boil, and then that should kind of remove everything, and you wipe everything clean, and then you would have to re-season it.
So how do you re-season it? A lot of oil?
No. So what you have to do is you actually have to follow. It's a pretty complex thing. So you have to actually preheat the oven, and then you need to season. So basically, take the oil and rub it against the surface, and then put it into the oven, and then let it basically bake with oil on it. And then you need to do that like 2 more times in order for you to get really nice coating that is borderline like non-stick pan feeling. Wow,
you are very serious about your cast iron skillet.
I'm a steakhouse guy.
Actually, Simon, before we go to the next question, could we watch you eat one more piece of kalbi now, please?
Of course. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go ahead and do one sam with kalbi, samjang, and sangchuk.
I think you have a future having your own YouTube channel where everybody watches you eat. This is pretty fun. So Sarah is asking, I'll give you some time to chew. How did you, actually, you have a chef. You have a very renowned chef at your restaurant. So, but you are, but you also love food and you love to cook. And we're just wondering, Sarah was asking, how did you learn how to cook Korean food?
Yeah. First of all, David, our executive chef, he is literally the best. I love him, and he's the man behind Coach's Culinary Excellence and whatnot. So kudos to David Shim. And as far as how did I learn, so my mother is my champion. So my father was very, very critical Korean appa, who was never satisfied with anything, So when my mom was my mom always cooked to please my dad. So it was always this kind of weird dynamic. And she did shijipsari. Do you know shijipsari, Kyung?
Yes, that's when you're like taking care of your in-laws, right?
Exactly. So she married
After,
into a very conservative family. And so we had like 30 extended family. And my mother would have to cook breakfast, lunch, and dinner for like 30 something people. So naturally, she became very, very good at cooking. And I learned, I always loved spending time with my mom in the kitchen. So that's where I learned how to cook.
Well, and has your mother recovered from all those years of shijipsari?
I think
it sounds
so.
like the makings of a K-drama, like the, like the Kim family and the mother-in-law. And
yeah, it's funny that you mention it. She actually, her first passion of her life was being an actress. And funny enough, after close to 70 years later, at age of 70, now she's returning back to her original passion of pursuing acting career. So go mom.
That is so awesome. And I saw your mom, and I think many people, because this it's in that Korean whatever the feature film of Happy Cleaners, right, where she stars in it as the wife of the dry cleaning business. Yeah. And what was that like for her? Like, I mean, just to kind of, put aside your dreams, be doing shijipsari and keeping your in-laws happy in this conservative family, and, obviously doing a great job of raising you guys, but at the age of 70 to reclaim and live out her dreams.
I think she's enjoying it, and it's kind of really sad, right? Because if I think of if my wife would do that for me and the family, like, absolutely not. I think times are very different. Back then, I think culturally things were very different, and now I think she's, my father sees it. Father's super supportive, and I'm very proud of my mom and wish her the best with her second career.
And, when you think about just following your passions, I mean, you are really living out your passion, aren't you, right now? You want to just share with us what that's been like to see, like, your vision of this Korean steakhouse concept that really had not existed? I mean, there's Korean barbecue places, but I mean, before all this happened, and we know that you will return, what has that been like? I mean, to get the Michelin star within, months of opening your restaurant, and just
it was really, really tough. I've been working in restaurants since I was 16 years old, and I never not worked. I always kind of kept on working, and worked for great chefs and whatnot. But ultimately, frankly, now I can share it. Me being Korean American in fine dining world was actually very difficult, because I was very passionate about restaurants, but people didn't see me as a person who should belong in fine dining, because Koreans were not actually known 15 years ago as fine dining connoisseurs. So it was really difficult, a lot of failures, and a lot of I wouldn't call it discrimination, because ultimately I think every individual can kind of feel the disadvantage one way or the other. But it's been a really tough road, and I finally got a chance to open my own restaurant that I was so passionate about, called Piora, in 2013. And that got a Michelin star, and that was kind of my joy, pride, and everything that I could imagine, like ask for. But due to financial difficulties, I actually had to close that restaurant. And we opened Coat, and Coat was kind of like my ultimate restaurant, right? This is what I'm passionate about. I'm Korean, I'm a carnivore, I am American. So that made everything make sense, right? It's a beef, and I'm Korean barbecue, I'm American steakhouse. Now, I feel like Code finally kind of got the tailwind, and it was sailing really, really well. And we're very grateful. And this just happened, which is remarkably daunting, because it seems like finally we're, kind of going the right direction, and it's been put to halt. But again, I think we mentioned earlier, I think we toasted to our resiliency. I think this too shall pass, and we're committed that we're going to get out of this on top, just like how we always do it.
Hear, hear. That's great. One of our viewers are asking, how did you decide on the name of Kot for your restaurant? Or Kot? It's Kot,
yes.
Right?
Yeah, it's actually a Korean word.
You're correcting my pronunciation all evening, so okay. But Kot also is a very French, but it's also very, Kot is also like Côte d'Azur, Côte de Boeuf, right? It's like a very French pronunciation too.
Yeah, so before I talk about goat, my first restaurant, as I mentioned, is called Piora. It was in West Village. It was an Italian/Korean restaurant. And it was, again, Korean word, Piora, which means to blossom. So as I was thinking about what comes after Piora, it's obviously the flower, right? It's the flower, and goat in Korean means flower. And I've had a good pleasure of working for some amazing French chefs. And as you mentioned, Côte de Boeuf is probably one of my favorite preparation of steak. And Côte d'Or, Côte rôti, there's definitely a great association with, great wine and steak in French term, and Korean word for goat. So I couldn't think of any other name but this.
Yeah, it's really a perfect name.
But there's more to it though. But also, Côte is the first Korean steakhouse. Korean steakhouse never really existed before that. And the importance of us, being Korean steakhouse as opposed to Korean barbecue was very significant, because Korean barbecue is a very casual experience. You drink beer, you drink soju, and while I love Korean barbecue restaurants I love them, but I feel like here in New York, we could use something that is a little more, higher end, and that's why we wanted to make sure we're actually a Korean steakhouse. Get it correct. We have to actually correct people. No, it's actually a steakhouse. And the name Côte is to kind of our Korean culture start to flower here in New York. And that's also a significance of Côte.
Oh, I love that. But actually, speaking of sort of higher end beef, like apart from Côte, like we have a question, what are the best places in New York City to get high quality beef?
Depending what kind of meat you're looking for, I think, again, if you're looking to cook like things like galbichim and bulgogi and things that are a little more Korean friendly, I think you can definitely use the H-Mart. But my personal favorite, you're asking a lot of my secret sauce, Kyung.
Thank you for sharing. It's only between you and me, you know that.
That is true. There's no one else listening, right?
No one else listening, I assure you.
Making sure. So there is actually a butcher shop called Harlem Shambles. Harlem Shambles, obviously, is one in Harlem, one in downtown as well. So all of their meat is actually all grass-fed. And you and I both know we all want to eat grass-fed, but for some reason, they taste just really, really bad, and it's really not palatable. But I don't know what they do and how they do it. How they procure their beef is, although it is grass-fed, it actually tastes better than some of USDA prime beef. So
wow. But
again, no one. I don't want to share this information with anyone.
Yes, your secret is safe with me.
Okay.
It is, really. Thank you. But this is really fun to get the inside scoop from somebody who really, sort of knows his beef. But in fact, we have on a follow-up to that, like, what are your thoughts on like Costco short rib for kalbi?
So Costco and what is that club? Sam's Club?
Yeah, and BJ's. I mean, a lot of these wholesale places, and Walmart. Yeah, it's a Sam's Club.
So if I'm actually cooking for my kids, then I think I'm gonna go ahead and opt for always that places like local butchers that are not, that make sure that they have a responsibly sourced beef. I think that's very important when you're cooking for your kids and, people who are a little more vulnerable, whatnot, who I need to really kind of take care of. Whereas if I'm cooking for myself and my friends, best tasting beef is the best for me, right? So believe it or not, Costco actually has very, very, very high quality beef because they started carrying USDA Prime. And just to give you an idea of USDA Prime is less than 4% of entire beef qualifies as a USDA Prime. And the beef is graded based on amount of marbling. So the USDA Prime, just like gold, right? Like there's 18 karat gold and 14 karat gold. So if beef is considered as USDA Prime, then that is actually one of the best high quality beef that you can buy. So if Costco or BJ's or whatnot, if they have USDA Prime, personally, I'll pick it up.
That's a really good tip. And again, another question about beef. And I remember, it feels like 100 years ago already, but it was only like in February, I think, that the movie Parasite won all those Academy Awards. And it just was such a excitement and pride for, Korea and Koreans everywhere. And I remember that I saw that Coat kind of jumped on this. Is it namdon recipe that was in that movie?
More importantly, chapaguri.
Chapaguri, yes. So, it was chapaguri. So, can you tell us what is the beef that you use in chapaguri recipe, or does it matter?
But first, before I talk about that, I want to talk about basically how and why we launched chapaguri. So, thanks to Kyung, I met Mickey through KACF, and we became friendly. And there was actually way before the Oscars, Parasite actually hosted a screening here in New York. And then Coat ended up hosting the after party of the screening. So we became very good, acquainted with director Bong and, actor Song and whatnot. So we're always cheering for the movie, and then it got nominated for 6 freaking Academy Awards. It was like it blew everybody away. And then so we're thinking what can we do? Because honestly, I'm sure they're losing their minds, nervous and whatnot. So we're thinking what can we do as fans of Parasite? What can we do? So it wasn't really a marketing strategy or anything like that, because we're very busy to begin with, but we wanted to kind of show our support by offering dish that's featured in the movie, and we offered chapaguri, and that's how it kind of came about. And when it won, it was pretty hilarious because every mainstream media all kind of knocked on our doors because they didn't know what else to cover Parasite with. But anyways, going to the beef, it's American Wagyu. Because American Wagyu is basically Japanese Wagyu, which is super well marbled, American Black Angus, which is very plush, mixed together. So you have something in best of both worlds. And that's very similar to Korean beef Hanu. It's not quite the same, but it is these similars that I can find without eating Hanu. So in the movie, chapaguri actually has Hanu. But what's the most similar? So American Wagyu, New York strip.
And what exactly is in chapaguri? Chapaguri? Am I saying it right?
Yeah, chapaguri is combination of 2 different instant noodles. One is noguri, one is chapaghetti, and we don't do anything fancy to it at all. There's no secret sauce, there's no handmade things. We actually use the packet things. We boil the noodles, put the packet, and then we use a little bit of our anchovy and kelp broth, and then we put a little bit of onion and meat, and that's the dish.
Thank you for sharing yet another secret with us. And yeah, this is really fun. But actually, yes.
Can you actually promise me that you're not going to open up a Korean barbecue / steakhouse. Promise.
Uh,
I give you too much secret.
I promise you. I promise, because that actually has never been my forte. I have to say, I do have like certain talents, but you have no competition from me, Simon Kim.
My investors are here. A few of my investors are joining our thing, and they're texting me separately. Simon, stop sharing so much. I'm just kidding.
Well, you know what? You don't have to worry about. But we are really so appreciative that you're so fun and you're so generous, really, Simon. And just actually the idea that you would share your recipes. I know, it's not going to be exactly the same as what we get, in the restaurants, but it's really great that at this time when 90% of the people who responded to our poll today are saying they're cooking more at home, that we'll have a couple extra, secret recipes, and then maybe next time we could all cook your recipes and then all come together. That would be fun too.
That sounds fun.
So I actually do have a recipe question, which is a little this is interesting to me. So we have a viewer who's saying that I heard that it's best to first marinate the beef with sugar first and then do the rest of the seasoning. Is there an order to which beef should be marinated?
Who is the person who is the person who asked this question?
It's not identified actually to me the way that I'm getting it. I would like to identify, but
because this person is pretty spot on.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay. They might open a restaurant. Maybe we shouldn't send your recipes to them. Yeah.
It's okay. Recipe, we can all share. There's enough people out there who can all sell kalbi and be fine. But definitely for kalbi, you want to definitely put a little bit of brown sugar, sprinkle over, and then let it just kind of sit a little bit. And then maybe just put a little bit of salt there as well, so that it's called mitgan. It is pre-seasoned, with the sugar and salt. And then once you marinate it, it becomes a whole lot more, flavors intensified. But if I'm cooking for my mother or, elderly, I'll probably not do that because they may find it a little too strong and intense in flavor. But, restaurants definitely use that technique to make that flavor very intense. So.
Got it. And I noticed that in your kalbi, Simon, that and as many places do, you have scored it, right? So that you actually, it's cut, so that is important for making sure that the marinade goes into the meat. Can you show that to us?
Yes, absolutely. So Chef David, he does a phenomenal job, and it's called, you see that? Do you see it?
Yep. Oh,
so it's
wow.
Called diamond. It's called diamond scoring. So what you're doing is, so if you have a meat that's flattened, right? What you want to do is you want to go ahead and score it diagonally and flip it over and score it other diagonally. And what you end up happening is that you have like a little accordion, and it's much more difficult than being done than said. But if you perfect it, LA kalbi is definitely easy to make and delicious. But if you can really perfect how to thin this thing out and then do score diamond kalbi, it really, really changed the game completely. Because it's almost like anybody can cook LA kalbi, which is, everyone should be familiar with LA kalbi, right? It's like a 1/4 inch thick bone-wise. But if you are able to actually flatten out kalbi and score it and marinate it, I think, again, it's about that 정성, right?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And I think we need, I'm looking at the time, and this whole hour has flown by. We have so many more questions, but I think we're really going to have to. I know. And you've hardly gotten to eat your kalbi because I keep interrupting you every time you're about to have a bite. But,
okay.
Our time is getting, I know.
I'm sorry, I can't share with everybody.
I know, but we're enjoying it with you. So, as we're getting ready to close, I just want to thank you so much, Simon. And I just, do you have any last message for our community of viewers? You've talked about,
So we talked about a lot of fun things about food, comforts, and whatnot. And cocktails, beef. But ultimately, I want to go and shift our light into our community as a last walkaway. I feel like, again, we have a lot of luxury of kind of quarantining, but still be able to find ourselves in a fairly decent situation. But I believe a lot of these smaller Korean American nonprofits are in verge of dying, literally dying and not ever coming back. And when they die, they may only employ 5 people, 7 people, 10 people, and they may not look like such a big, bailout necessary entity. But if you think about how many people of our community that are in need depend on these nonprofits, it's really mind-bogglingly important that we keep them alive. So during this difficult time of COVID-19, KACF has organized KACF COVID-19 fund. So, I strongly recommend, I'm going to do my part by contributing so that, the name of the game is how can we get out of this and safely and soundly with least amount of casualties. And by you participating in these causes, and thanks to Kyung and KACF, it's not that difficult. It's not like we need to go to Queens. It's not like we need to go to places and figure out who these individuals are. You guys are doing the hard work. So we as a community just need to, you make it easy for us. So that's what I have to say as we close. And
well, thank you so much, Simon. And, and it just reminds me back to your table and the beautiful Korean upsang, table that like our COVID Community Action Fund is like that. It's not about whether you are going to contribute the kalbi part, and we do have people who can, give more, but each of us, whether it is, the 깻잎 or, the samjang, or each of us doing our part, we create this table of nurturing our community, and we actually get that flavor of what it is to be Koreans and to be Korean Americans, and to be really a community that is our taste is about compassion, resiliency, neighbors helping neighbors. And so I really, on that spirit, I really thank you for being a part of that. And I also want to thank all of you for participating tonight for this really fun and also deep conversations around what it means to be community. I want to give a special shout out to Myung Lee and Lisa Kim, who really helped us to conceive this. And really thought this is what our community needs right now. And I just couldn't agree more. This has been fun. And I want to say that KACF, we have actually pivoted, just like Simon, to take out our many of our partners. We have also pivoted, not only setting up our funds, but also creating these opportunities as a continuation of our KACF Giving Summit. This is our 4th year. It's always been a more traditional gathering, but we're doing it, as you can see, gathering this way virtually. So on May 6th, we have another event coming up, KACF Giving Summit in the front lines of COVID-19. And this one is going to be focusing on the stories, how to cover the stories of COVID-19. And it will be featuring Juju Chang, who is the anchor of Nightline on ABC News, as well as our honoree last fall, and she is a co-founder of KACF. That is on May 6th, and you can all look forward to receiving more information about that. You can also look forward to receiving information of Simon's secret recipes, which we'll be following up with all of you. And we just really thank everyone for being a part of tonight. Enjoy your weekend. Simon?
Yes, so here is to final toast to happy and healthy weekend. Cheers.
Cheers, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.